Oh, what a surprise. Who would have thought I would be talking about the Werehog here in 2025? This beastly guy has time and time again managed to pop up when I least expect it. And you may be wondering, what exactly am I talking about? Okay, check it. Isn't it rather interesting that the Werehog is the only other transformation other than Supersonic that has managed to stand the test of time and remain relevant post-introduction? You don't see Darkspine Sonic popping up anywhere, and you rarely see serious discussions about Excalibur Sonic within the community. But you still get both with the Werehog. I want to dive into the Werehog for a bit, and how the sheer endurance this transformation has had in the franchise utterly fascinates me. Dear audience, it's that time again. Let me bring you down a trip towards memory lane.
I see it, and now it's all within my reach. Possibility. I see it now. It's always been inside of me. Now I feel so free. It's possibility.
The year is 2008. The cool dudes and gals at Sega have just released one of the most ambitious Sonic titles ever with Sonic Unleashed. A globe-trotting adventure filled with epic moments, emotional moments, nothing but heart. A title that in the current year of 2008 would unfortunately not get the love and recognition it deserves, and it's all because of just one issue. This exists. During development of Sonic Unleashed, there were plans to make the game the next title in the popular Sonic Adventure series, but the more ideas introduced, the more Unleashed became its own thing. The director of Sonic Unleashed, Yoshihisa Hashimoto, admitted that the concept of the Werehog came up as a way to further introduce Sonic to new potential fans, but from the onset, he had a feeling that the Werehog would have polarizing reception. It's a shame because character artist Shinkichi Tanahashi did an incredible job in designing the Werehog. Early artwork of the Werehog is so interesting to look at. One piece of artwork focuses more on the animalistic aspect of Sonic, with his feral attitude as his arm stretches out. Another piece of artwork focuses more on the curse that is inflicted on Sonic, and honestly, the chains leaving marks around his body is kinda cool. Actually, keep this design in mind. I'm going to come back to it later in the video. I think the funniest early design by far is the one where Sonic looks like a Yeti. I'm glad that we eventually landed on the design we did, but you can definitely see what aspects were scaled back and what was emphasized more in the final design. The Werehog, for all intents and purposes, would be a one-and-done gimmick for a mainline Sonic title. If another gimmick was to be introduced to extend the life of a title, it wouldn't be something that clashes with the core gameplay style. It would instead be something that enhances the current gameplay experience, such as the Wisp in Sonic Colors and Lost World, or would be a character with familiar 2D or 3D gameplay, such as Classic Sonic in Sonic Generations, or the Avatar in Sonic Forces. This is where the story of the Werehog should have ended. A polarizing transformation that was cool in style, but mixed in execution. One that would never be seen or heard of again. But that's not what happened. Other than the animated Night of the Werehog short that released shortly after the game in order to promote it, the Werehog just kept popping up in other places. You have the Werehog costumes in the Mario and Sonic Olympic Games series, the Werehog in Little Big Planet, the Werehog as a playable character in the mobile game Sonic Dash, the Werehog in the mobile game Sonic Runners, the Werehog on a Japanese Sonic Channel character profile, which is interesting since the only other Sonic form acknowledged is Supersonic. You even have the Werehog in the online multiplayer game Sonic Speed Simulator, where he was added back in October of 2021. That's over a decade after his debut. The most surprising thing to me is that there was even a special variant released in October 2024 called Chained Up Werehog, and he looks very similar to one of his original concept art pieces. I told you I'll bring it back up later in the video. Hey, yeah you, come here for a bit. Ready? Did you know there's an alternate Sonic Unleashed story with a different take on the Werehog? Yeah, how many of you saw this coming? Back before the IDW Sonic comics, we had the Archie Sonic comics. Comics that were running since as far back as the 90s that morphed into something so much greater than the games. The comics got involved in some messy legal issues that resulted in the entire built-up universe going through a soft reboot. Not even Mega Man could help save the Sonic comics. A story for another time, folks. So how do you pull new and returning fans into this brand new continuity? Well, you use one of the best Sonic stories ever as a vehicle to build things up quickly. Which also includes the Werehog in it. Enter the Shattered World Crisis. Unlike the game where Eggman purposefully split the planet apart, here it was an accident. The same rules apply. Travel the world, get the Chaos Emeralds, stop Eggman and Dark Gaia minions, and piece the planet back together. But things are a bit different with this adaptation. This time around, energy is seeping out from the Earth, and Sonic gets accidentally exposed to it, and it makes him start acting feral. The more times he's put under intense stress, the more that feral side starts to emerge, and he comes closer and closer to losing control. It's not until a meeting with old friends Mighty and Ray that Sonic meets with Mighty's mentor, who tells him that he has darkness inside he's struggling to contain. Something that Sonic has been trying to keep a secret from everyone for a while. After falling into a trap that causes all his friends to get harmed, Sonic finally loses control and the beast is unleashed. As you're clearly aware by this point, this alternate version of Unleashed story is completely different, but I don't think it's bad. It's a very interesting take that shows more of what the game characters and comic exclusive characters must deal with during a literal world-ending crisis, but even the way the Werehog is handled here is interesting. In the comics, the Werehog is Sonic consumed by nothing but darkness and rage, and it turns him into an aggressive being who at first is willing to go much further with fighting his enemies, and even has issues seeing friends from foes. Sonic must undertake a training arc to learn the strength of controlling oneself. It's a complete difference from how the original game handles it, where the Werehog is a transformation based on absorbing the negative energy from the Chaos Emeralds, and despite the darkness, Sonic never lets it corrupt him. He's too strong of heart to ever change who he is inside, despite what he looks like on the outside. I do think this actually brings up an interesting topic on the way Sonic's curse is handled by the original Japanese team and the American comic writers. As game, Sonic is depicted as this unstoppable force that none of us can ever truly understand. His Werehog transformation is still him at heart, but the curse he bears is how his look can affect how others perceive him, including his closest friends. The scene of Amy pushing him away, not realizing it was him, visibly gets to him. Since there's nothing about Sonic to change, the writer uses the curse to hit him where it hurts the most, and it's his relationship with those around him. While Sonic in the Western comics feels more like a grounded hero that is fallible, and in that sense, it brings Sonic down to a level where he can feel relatable. The curse he deals with is trying to hold a great darkness back, but by failing, the darkness consumes him, and he starts to go against his own friends. Since there's room for growth for a hero, the curse is used as a means to push Sonic forward to being better. It's definitely an interesting way to go about the Werehog. The whole story arc would go on to become the most expansive Sonic game adaptation in the Archie Sonic comics, lasting 29 issues in around 2 years. It's easily the most spotlight the Werehog has received post-Sonic Unleashed. The only recent comic appearance the Werehog has received is a cameo in IDW Sonic Comics in issue 16. Outside of the comics, I'm honestly amazed that we're still getting Werehog merchandise. The Werehog has had some merchandise in the past, like an action figure and plush, but then I see back in 2022, he received his own Funko Pop, and then as recently as January of this year, he's getting a new figure that's bundled with Super Sonic and Soap Shoe Sonic. My friend pointed this merchandise out to me, and that's what made me even want to talk about this topic, because seriously, the guy has really endured. Well, I guess that's the end of today's tale. No way the Werehog is showing up again. Breaking news, Sonic Unleashed has come to PC. Breaking news, Sonic Unleashed has come to PC. Wait, what? Well, I'll be. The fans did it again. Sonic Unleashed is finally on PC. Fans have been begging Sega to do this for so long. I honestly was doubtful it would ever happen, but I'm glad to see one of my favorite Sonic games of all time is more widely available to play now, with awesome quality of life improvements too. And you know what that means? The Werehog is back, baby! More discussions on the Werehog gameplay and hopefully more people opening their eyes and realizing the Werehog is fun to use when not dealing with excessive slowdowns. This to say, there really is just something special about the Werehog. Not even his biggest detractors can take away the random fact that John Carpenter, a renowned movie director, is a Sonic fan and likes the Werehog. Can you imagine who else in Hollywood loves Sonic and the Werehog? At this point, with how much the Werehog has endured, I wouldn't be surprised if the Sonic movies eventually do their own adaptation of Sonic Unleashed and introduce the Werehog to the big screens. It's such a perfect template to use for a Sonic movie to further give the cast and characters a reason to visit more places around the world. especially after the success of adapting Sonic Adventure 2 to the big screens. Could you imagine a level of marketing that could happen with a movie Werehog? No matter what, the Werehog just won't stay down and keeps coming back, and I love that for him.